Alright everybody, this is Mark's 1980 Corvette, and it's a really nice car. From what I've been told, he actually drives it daily, which is super cool. But, as most cars from 1980 are, there are a couple little things that he wants done. So, in this video, I'm going to document all the little things that he wanted me to do, and we'll take you on that adventure. So, just a bunch of small things. One of the little issues on this car is the fact that this glove box latch just spins. So it makes the glove box pretty much impossible to operate, but it's pretty easy to fix. I have another glove box mechanism here, and basically what you have to do is you have to take the tumbler out, and then these two pieces rotate together and kind of smash it against the colored part of the glove box. The hard part is getting this tumbler out. So the first step is you have to pop off the lock cover, which it really just presses on to the end of the tumbler with a flat blade screwdriver. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab this end under here like this, and then you're going to play around with a small flat blade screwdriver. And what you want to do is these little tumblers have these little keys. You want to press those in so that your tumbler is able to slide out. Once you get it all apart, you can tighten it up, and then it just goes back in the same way it came out. So not too hard of a fix. Alright, here's the fix. So now this is no longer wobbly, and goes in just like that. Unlocks like it's supposed to. Boom. Fixed. To get to this has been a pain in the butt, but we're going to get it done. So you have to unhook the speedometer cable at the back end of the cluster. There's little screws that go up underneath the dash. If you look up, they're straight up. You have to remove those. You have to remove the column access cover right here. You have to remove the air duct, and then you have to drop the column. So taking they're right there, these big bolts out that hold the column up just gives you that little extra space that you need in order to move the cluster down like this, which will give you access, if you have small enough hands, to where the turn signal bulb is. So we'll take this bulb and we'll go test it and we'll see what's wrong. I don't see the filament looks good, so we're just gonna have to see what happens. Here's the turn signal bulb, and weirdly enough, I doubt you guys can see this, but the filament is actually in good shape, which is very strange. It's actually burnt out here at the bottom, which I've never seen. So I have my cool little light bulb tester, and we can test this bulb. Turn it to 12 volts, and then you get no connection at all. I have here a good bulb out of some random parts car at one point along the line. And we do the same thing and we get it lit. Now something it also could be this connector, which it's not, but it could. The way that you test that is basically the same thing. You one side to the other and then it'll light. So what I'm gonna do when I put this back, I'll clean these little contacts, make sure it's all tight, then we should be good to go. So as you saw, this one came up pretty quickly. This one didn't want to come up at all. I mean, it thought about it, but that was it. So what that tells me is that the headlight switch works. That tells me the tank has vacuum. That tells me that the relays work. because what the relays do is they switch vacuum from one side of the actuator to the other, and it's working, that's happening, but the actuator, it's not really working as well as it should. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to replace this actuator, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Or we're going to rebuild the actuator, we're not going to replace it. The easiest way to do it. And then we will test it again and see how different the headlights act. Alright, steps 1 and 2 are very, very self-explanatory. Take out the bezel, there's 4 screws that hold it in, and then take out your front grill and marker light. So you might think, there's no reason to take out that marker light. Yeah, there is, because if you're going to work on something inside of here, it's so easy just to put your hands through and work on it. It will save you hours. So after that, what you're going to want to do is you need to disconnect the actuator arm from the pivot on the headlight. So right here you have to remove this spring, and then this rod will slide out once the cotter pin is removed. And this going in and out like this, that's what opens up and closes your headlight. From there, it's time to unhook the actuator and remove it, but we'll get to that once I get this off. Once you get the actuator rod undone, that's it right there on the ground, you need to disconnect the vacuum hoses from the top and also from the bottom right there. And the last thing to do is take the 4 bolts off. So a ratchet with an extension and a short 1/2 inch socket are what you need. You can't use the deep one because this piece right there is kind of in the way. And the only way that you can get that actuator out once it's pushed out is, it kind of sucks, but you push it out, you close the hood, you push it out, you kind of let it sit right there, and then you have to open the hood again and fish it out this way. I've tried to get it out the front, I've tried to get it out the bottom. They don't come out that way, at least on the 80 to 82 models. So that's how you do it. Alright, here's the actuator, and there's a large diaphragm in the very middle of this. So the way this works is vacuum is applied to this side, and that will pop out. Vacuum is then applied to this side, and that will go back in. So going back in is closing the headlight, going out is opening the headlight. So if this were a good actuator, what we would be able to do is we could plug one of the ports and it wouldn't move. Okay, so there's an actuator seal underneath this dust boot. I can show you what a good one would look like if I do the back. So you see how I'm plugging the back and I can't push this in? If it does that on both sides, then your actuator is good. The reason why the headlight will close and not open is because that side is good, this side is not. So we'll take this all apart and we'll get it fixed. It's just a little rubber boot inside. If you lift up the dust boot, you can see here is the actuator seal. So it's basically a cone-shaped seal that's supposed to start here and go all the way down. And you can see it's totally shot. So Mark just wants the one side done. Hopefully the other side's been done, or else it's going to end up looking like this really quickly. But yep, that's what's losing vacuum. And the engine should run a little bit better now that there's not this humongous vacuum leak as well. With the new dust boot lifted up, you can see the new seal. And you can see the old seal looks a little bit different. Yeah, it was just gone. There's no way the headlight would have ever worked. But now, when I plug this port and I try to push it in and out, it holds vacuum. So it's ready to go back in the car.